The metallic scent of spent ammunition drifts through Guadalcanal's steamy air. August 21st, 1942, dawns over what Marines will remember as Hell's Point. Behind improvised defenses of coconut logs and hastily filled sandbags, a young corporal grips his weapon with shaking hands. Black sand spreads before him like death itself. Japanese corpses cover the narrow strip of beach. Their uniforms, once immaculate, now shredded and stained crimson. These men fell to something they never anticipated. The corporal stares at his Browning automatic rifle. Its wooden stock bears fresh scars and splinters. Hours earlier, when screaming enemy soldiers rushed across this killing ground, he had pulled the trigger, expecting the familiar roar of rapid fire. Instead, silence. A mechanical failure when death charged toward him. But mechanical failure didn't define this battle. What haunts the young Marine is how quickly instinct took over. How naturally he drew his blade and cut down 3 attackers in seconds. Their bayonets caught moonlight uselessly before his steel found flesh. A farm boy from the American heartland had transformed into something lethal within heartbeats. Marine Captain Charles Brush surveys the carnage with mixed emotions. Wonder and revulsion battle in his mind. His small patrol had stumbled into something far beyond reconnaissance. They had witnessed warfare's evolution. The moment American manufacturing might met Japanese warrior culture and crushed it utterly. Numbers tell part of the story. 800 elite soldiers from Colonel Ichikis' veteran regiment lay dead or dying. 34 Marines paid with their lives. Statistics cannot capture the psychological earthquake that shook this insignificant Pacific sandbar. This wasn't merely combat. This was industrial revolution written in blood and cordite. For the first time in Pacific fighting, Japanese infantry encountered something that would transform battle forever. Systematic, concentrated automatic fire from American Browning rifles deployed in coordinated formations. The surviving corporal wipes perspiration from his face, smearing volcanic dust across his features. Around him, fellow Marines discover the same terrible truth. Their weapons, these 20-pound automatic rifles firing at 650 rounds per minute, haven't simply won an engagement. They've rendered entire Japanese tactical doctrine obsolete overnight. Rising sunlight reveals scenes that commanders at Rabaul will refuse to accept. Elite troops, veterans of China and Manchuria campaigns, masters of nighttime fighting and Bushido warfare, decimated by supposedly weak Americans. The idea seems impossible to Japanese military minds, yet evidence covers Hell's Point in undeniable reality. The age of automatic squad firepower has arrived. Nothing will remain unchanged. How did single weapon systems alter Pacific combat completely? Understanding requires examining what Japanese forces never anticipated and what Marines were only beginning to comprehend about their equipment's revolutionary potential. Stepping inside the minds of men who carried these transformative weapons into battle reveals the magnitude of change. A 19-year-old private became a bar gunner with Marine forces, understanding immediately that his weapon meant more than personal defense. It represented his squad's survival backbone. The automatic rifle meant everything to infantry units. Veterans recall decades later, their hands still bearing embedded sand from distant battlefields. Receiving that 20-pound weapon meant more than equipment issue. It meant responsibility for keeping comrades alive. Browning automatic rifles represented fundamental shifts in American military thinking. Unlike bolt-action weapons dominating earlier conflicts, bars delivered sustained automatic fire. Up to 650 rounds per minute when necessary, or controlled bursts for precision engagement. Each 20-round magazine contained powerful cartridges capable of penetrating Japanese defensive positions. The weapon's 24-inch barrel provided accuracy that enemy light machine guns couldn't match. Revolutionary aspects extended beyond firepower. Portability changed everything. At 20 pounds, single Marines could carry and operate the weapon without crew requirements of traditional machine guns. This meant every 12-man squad possessed mobile artillery, capable of suppressive fire during advances or devastating defensive capability. Japanese forces lacked comparable equipment in 1942. Their Type 99 light machine gun, designed by Colonel Nambu, impressed technically with 800 rounds per minute and 30-round magazines. However, it required crew operation and static defensive positions. Japanese tactics relied on disciplined formations, night-fighting expertise, and psychological impact of banzai charges. These methods had conquered half the Pacific. Colonel Ichikis embodied this confidence, leading 800 elite troops through humid jungle toward American perimeters. His men were hardened veterans from Manchurian and Chinese campaigns, trained in ancient Bushido codes, teaching death before dishonor. They moved silently through tropical darkness, certain they would sweep aside Americans effortlessly. Intelligence catastrophically failed Ichikis. Advanced scouts reported American positions without understanding what those positions actually contained. They observed Marines with rifles, not realizing scattered throughout defensive lines were weapons delivering more firepower than entire Japanese companies. Meanwhile, Marines learned to maximize their technological advantages. Doctrine seemed simple: 1 bar per squad, supported by assistant gunner and ammunition bearers. Practically, young soldiers figured out operational methods through trial and combat experience. Understanding rhythm proved crucial. Bars fired full automatic, but consumed ammunition rapidly. Success required controlled bursts of 3 or 4 rounds. Every shot mattered, because squads depended on keeping enemy heads down while teammates maneuvered. Weight became brutal reality. 20 pounds of steel and wood, plus ammunition in Pacific heat. Many bar gunners developed distinctive walking gaits, bodies compensating for constant loads. They also developed intimate relationships with their weapons bordering on spiritual devotion. This relationship proved crucial as Ichikis' troops approached Marine perimeters on August 20th. The Japanese colonel remained supremely confident. His men had overwhelmed Chinese positions using identical tactics. American soldiers had reputations for being soft, effeminate, and cowardly, with no appetite for fighting in rain, mist, or darkness. Ichikis failed to understand American industrial capacity, creating something unprecedented. Squad-level automatic weapons could be mass-produced and distributed throughout infantry forces. While Japanese relied on few specialized machine gun crews, every Marine squad now possessed firepower previously requiring crew-served weapons. Psychological preparation proved equally important. Marines expected fanatical Japanese attacks and had witnessed banzai charges against unprepared troops. Bars provided confidence through knowledge they could deliver sustained fire against massed infantry assaults. As August 20th deepened, both sides made final preparations. Ichikis' troops cleaned rifles and fixed bayonets, preparing for close-quarters combat serving them throughout conquest campaigns. They whispered ancestral prayers and prepared glorious deaths for their emperor. American BAR gunners performed final weapons checks. They ensured gas systems were clean, magazines properly loaded, ammunition accessible. They didn't realize they were about to participate in infantry warfare revolution. The stage was set for collision between military philosophies: Japanese warrior tradition versus American industrial firepower, individual courage versus technological superiority, ancient tactics versus modern weapons. Within hours, Jungle Night would explode with violence. When sun rose over Hell's Point, Pacific warfare would never remain the same. The question wasn't whether Americans would win, but whether anyone would survive to tell how warfare itself had transformed forever. At 0200 hours, August 21st, night sky above Guadalcanal erupts in eerie green illumination as Marines fire flares into tropical darkness. What artificial light reveals defies Colonel Ichikis' expectations and changes Pacific warfare permanently. Hundreds of Japanese soldiers cross the narrow sandbar at Alligator Creek. Bayonets gleam in false daylight. They advance in perfect formation exactly as in China, precisely as training demanded. But this isn't China, and waiting Americans aren't demoralized Chinese troops Ichikis' veterans had fought previously. A private crouches behind defensive positions, watching advancing enemies with amazement and terror. Sounds of walking along beaches and chattering voices carry clearly through humid air. Enemy forces advance without scouts, their confidence absolute, contempt for American fighting ability complete. They march as if on parade. That arrogance was about to encounter 20 pounds of American engineering brilliance. The corporal raises his bar, familiar weight settling against his shoulder. Around him, other automatic riflemen do likewise, each responsible for fire sectors, each serving as mobile artillery for their squads. Marines had learned something Japanese hadn't grasped. Modern warfare belonged to whoever delivered most firepower fastest. The trigger squeeze produces nothing. Firing pins strike empty chambers with metallic clicks, sounding impossibly loud in tense silence. The weapon his squad depends on for survival has failed at the worst moment imaginable. Japanese soldiers reach sandbar midpoint. Battle cries echo across water while the primary weapon remains useless. American training meets desperate innovation. Without hesitation, the failed rifle drops while Machete appears from belt equipment. What follows becomes Marine legend. Within heartbeats, this American farm boy cuts down 3 Japanese soldiers in hand-to-hand combat. His blade finds marks with lethal precision, yet individual heroics pale beside mechanical devastation unfolding everywhere. Every other BR along Marine lines functions perfectly. Their collective sound creates something Japanese have never experienced. Browning automatic rifles fire powerful cartridges at 650 rounds per minute. Each round carries kinetic energy, punching through Japanese body armor and continuing beyond. Multiple bars concentrating fire on target areas create apocalyptic effects. A lieutenant watches slaughter through binoculars, his mind struggling to process observations. Japanese soldiers fall in entire ranks. Disciplined formations disintegrate under concentrated automatic fire. Bodies pile upon bodies as succeeding attack waves stumble over fallen comrades. Observers describe fascinating scenes of figures bustling among trees, pivoting, turning, spitting sheets of yellow flame. It resembled comedy of toys, something unbelievable, watching them knock over palm trees which fell slowly, flushing running human figures from underneath. But this isn't comedy for men pulling triggers. Each burst represents life or death calculations. Ammunition conservation versus enemy suppression. Controlled fire versus full automatic. Precision shots versus area denial. Japanese response reveals tactical miscalculation depth. Ichiki expected scattered rifle fire that mass assault could overwhelm. Instead, his men encounter coordinated automatic weapons fire, turning their greatest advantage, disciplined group movement, into liability. Tighter formations make bar fire more devastating. A captain leads second company in desperate flanking maneuvers, trying to bring men close enough for bayonet use. This was what Japanese infantry training prepared them for. Close combat, where individual skill and fighting spirit would triumph over American softness. Automatic weapons don't respond to fighting spirit. As charging troops cross open ground, they meet interlocking bar fire fields, cutting them down with mechanical precision. Psychological impact devastates. Elite troops accustomed to inspiring enemy terror find themselves helpless against impersonal technological force. Meanwhile, young gunners learn lessons keeping them alive throughout Pacific campaigns. Bar crews work with practiced efficiency. Gunners fire controlled bursts, while assistant gunners feed fresh magazines. They coordinate with other positions, creating overlapping fire fields, making Japanese movement impossible. Weapons enabling this revolution weigh just 20 pounds, but change infantry combat's entire nature. Unlike crew-served machine guns from earlier wars, bars give every squad portable artillery. Marines can advance with automatic fire support, retreat while maintaining suppressive fire, and hold defensive positions with firepower previously requiring entire machine gun companies. As night progresses, Ichikis makes increasingly desperate breakthrough attempts. He orders artillery and machine guns forward, trying to suppress American automatic weapons. But bars distribute throughout Marine lines. When one position faces suppression, others continue firing. Japanese discover something haunting them throughout Pacific warfare. American industrial capacity has democratized firepower. Every Marine squad now possesses capabilities Japanese commanders assumed belonged only to specialized units. By dawn, transformation completes, but killing continues. Japanese soldiers surviving night attacks find themselves pinned by daylight, unable to retreat across open sandbar ground. Bar gunners pick off individual targets with precision fire, weapons functioning as both automatic rifles and marksman tools. Final acts come when Marine tanks cross sandbars, coordinating with bar teams to clear remaining Japanese positions. Tank crews provide heavy firepower, while bar gunners prevent enemy infantry from approaching close enough for anti-tank grenades. Radio messages refuse withdrawal orders, crews too busy eliminating Japanese resistance. Tanks work with bar-equipped Marines, eliminating final resistance pockets. When shooting finally stops, statistics tell stories Japanese commanders initially refuse believing. Nearly 800 elite Japanese soldiers dead, only 15 captured. American casualties: 34 dead, 75 wounded. Real stories aren't in numbers. They're in psychological transformation of Pacific warfare. Japanese Army tactical doctrine, perfected over continental warfare decades, has been rendered obsolete by 20-pound automatic rifles in American teenagers' hands. Japanese invincibility myths lie shattered on black volcanic sand at Hell's Point, victims of American engineering and industrial capacity. For Marines, lessons prove equally profound. They possess technological advantages overcoming Japanese numerical superiority and fanatical dedication. Bars prove that firepower, properly applied, defeats fighting spirit. As the corporal cleans blood from his machete and examines his still-functioning bar, he witnesses modern squad tactics' birth. Within 3 years, Marine Corps will increase bar allocation, recognizing automatic weapons at squad levels represent infantry combat's future. Pacific warfare has transformed. Both sides are beginning to understand implications. Sun climbs higher over Hell's Point, illuminating scenes haunting both American and Japanese military thinking throughout remaining World War II years. The corporal sits beside his damaged bar, methodically cleaning the weapon that saved his life, even when failing him. Around him, other Marines make discoveries reshaping infantry doctrine forever. Their automatic rifles haven't merely won battles. They've created warfare's new reality. Psychological impact on surviving Japanese forces proves immediate and devastating. A sergeant, among few Japanese soldiers escaping massacre, later describes experiences revealing Japanese tactical miscalculation depth. Expected rifle fire they could charge through became continuous automatic fire from unlocatable, unsuppressible positions. Training meant nothing. When slaughter reports reach Japanese headquarters at Rabaul, reactions show pure disbelief. Generals insist reports must be false. Unable to accept elite Japanese troops could face such thorough defeat. But confirmation arrives with terrible realizations. American industrial capacity has given every enemy squad capabilities Japanese commanders assumed belonged only to specialized machine gun units. Transformation extends beyond tactics. Military professionals capture psychological dimensions perfectly, describing how enemy automatic weapons caused greatest, most demoralizing fear known in all combat experience. But this describes fear of Japanese automatic weapons requiring crew operation and static positions. Now, Americans possess squad-level automatic weapons that are portable, reliable, and devastatingly effective. For Marines, lessons become doctrine with remarkable speed. Stories reveal how completely bars transformed Marine infantry culture. Automatic rifles never left front lines. When Marines were wounded, their standard rifles returned to rear areas for repair. But when bar gunners were hit, weapons passed to next-ranking team members and assaults continued. This isn't merely about weapons, it's about modern squad tactics birth. Bars force Marine units to reorganize around automatic firepower. By war's end, Marine squads will consist of 3 fire teams, each built around bar gunners with assistants and ammunition bearers. 20-pound weapons have restructured how American infantry fights. Impact ripples across Pacific theater with devastating consequences for Japanese strategy. Unable to match American automatic firepower in open combat, Japanese forces begin fatal evolution toward fortress warfare. Deep bunkers and cave systems costing so many American lives represent Japanese adaptation to squad-level automatic weapons reality. Industrial dimensions prove equally crucial. American factories produce hundreds of thousands of bars during World War II, while Japanese industry struggles manufacturing enough light machine guns for specialized crews. Democracy democratizes firepower. Every American squad receives capabilities. Japanese commanders must carefully ration among best units. Modern military professionals recognize bar legacy in every squad automatic weapon deployed today. Tactical DNA traces directly to Marines who discovered that rapid fire in trained hands could stop banzai charges cold. 20-round magazine limitations criticized by historians actually forced fire discipline, making American squad tactics superior to Japanese area fire doctrines. Perhaps most significantly, Hell's Point demonstrates how technological advantages can amplify human courage while rendering courage insufficient by itself. Japanese soldiers displayed extraordinary bravery throughout Pacific warfare, but bravery alone cannot overcome systematic firepower advantages. Conversely, American industrial capacity meant nothing without Marines willing to carry 20-pound automatic rifles across Pacific beaches under enemy fire. Bar stories continue today in every military recognizing squad, automatic weapons as force multipliers rather than mere support weapons. When modern infantry squads organize around automatic riflemen, they apply lessons written in blood on Guadalcanal's black volcanic sand. As the corporal finally rises from Hell's Point, his damaged bar slung across shoulders, he carries more than weapons. He carries infantry warfare's future. 800 Japanese bodies scattered across sandbars represent one military era's end and another's beginning, written in powerful cartridges and marked by distinctive sounds of American automatic rifles, changing warfare forever. The weapon weighing 20 pounds in his hands represents industrial democracy applied to combat. Every Marine squad now possesses firepower that previously required specialized crews and static positions. This democratization of automatic fire will echo through every subsequent American military engagement. Japanese commanders studying Hell's Point reports face uncomfortable truths. Their tactical doctrine, refined through decades of continental warfare, has met American manufacturing capability and been found wanting. Elite troops trained in Bushido traditions discovered that fighting spirit cannot overcome systematic technological advantages. For American military planners, implications extend far beyond single battles. Squad automatic weapons represent fundamental shifts in how infantry forces organize, fight, and survive. The bar has proven that portable automatic fire, properly employed, can overcome numerical disadvantage and fanatical determination. Veterans returning from Hell's Point carry more than combat experience. They carry knowledge of warfare's evolution. 20-pound automatic rifles have demonstrated that American industrial capacity, combined with proper training and tactical employment, can overcome traditional military advantages. The Black Sand battlefield tells stories that will influence military thinking for generations. Japanese bodies scattered across the narrow sandbar represent more than tactical defeat. They represent the obsolescence of military doctrines based on individual courage and disciplined formations when facing concentrated automatic firepower. Marine survivors understand they have witnessed something unprecedented. Their automatic rifles have created new realities of infantry combat. Future engagements across Pacific Islands will reflect lessons learned on this insignificant strip of Guadalcanal Beach. The sun climbing over Hell's Point illuminates more than carnage. It reveals the birth of modern squad tactics, the democratization of automatic firepower, and the transformation of infantry warfare through American industrial innovation applied to combat necessity. 20 pounds of steel and wood have changed everything. The Pacific War will never be the same.